U.S.-China relations at risk over South China Sea incident. A U.S. warship sailed near a disputed island in the South China Sea on Sunday in an operation known as freedom of navigation. However, China called the action a serious political and military provocation. The incident took place near Triton Island in the Paracel Islands. It is administered by China, but is also claimed by Taiwan and Vietnam. According to the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, territorial water is a belt of coastal water extending 12 nautical miles from the baseline of a nation's coast. The guided missile destroyer USS Dewey sailed within 12 nautical miles of Triton Island, which implies the U.S. does not recognize China's territorial claims there. A user on Chinese microblogging site Weibo said this incident proves again how abominable the U.S. is, and how the country bullies others everywhere. Meanwhile, another Chinese user expressed exasperation at the phrase administered by China, implying the phrase was unnecessary, as the islands definitely belong to China. This user also seemed to look deeper into the situation, theorizing the warship's move was part of President Trump's strategy to intensify the situation before he tries to bargain. Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. China has a dominant role in South China Sea maritime claims. Will this situation change with the U.S.'s increasing involvement? Keep watching. Beijing ramps up South China Sea militarization. China's Navy has reportedly finished expanding its man-made outpost in the South China Sea and is now building military infrastructure on some of the larger islands. China is outfitting its three largest outposts, Fiery Cross, Subi, and Mischief Reefs in the Spratly Islands, with military infrastructure. This includes airfields with runways at least 8,800 feet long, water and fuel storage, port facilities, 24 fighter-sized hangars, communication facilities, barracks, and administration buildings. Once the facilities are complete, China can house up to 3 regiments of fighter jets in the Spratly Islands. The 3 air bases and another on Woody Island in the Paracels will give Chinese fighter jets the ability to operate over almost the entire South China Sea. Meanwhile, China has also developed radar surveillance coverage of almost the entire region. The Hague International Tribunal rejected China's claims of historical ownership in the South China Sea last July. China has firmly rejected the ruling. Parts of the South China Sea are claimed by China, Brunei, Taiwan, Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnam. Taiwan has military installations it doesn't want you to see. Taiwan's Ministry of Defense would like to keep its military facilities in the South China Sea secret and is asking Google to blur satellite images of the area on its Earth and map services. New military construction was recently revealed on Taiwanese-controlled Taiping, the largest naturally occurring feature in the much-disputed Spratly Islands. Eagle-eyed observers spotted 4 3-pronged concrete structures arranged in a semicircle near the northwest shoreline. Defense officials aren't disclosing what they are, but experts say they could be anti-aircraft towers. Taiping, also known as Ituaba, already has a 1,195-meter airstrip that's long enough to accommodate F-16 fighter jets, C-130 Hercules cargo planes, and P-3C patrol crafts. With these aircraft, surveillance patrols have an operational radius of up to 2,500 kilometers. A pier completed earlier this year on Taiping has a 210-meter berth capable of docking 10,000-ton frigates. Taiping has other existing installations, including a command post, radar, and lighthouse. Taiping is classified as a rock and not an island under the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, a ruling which Taiwan strongly rejects. Vietnam begins dredging on Lad Reef in disputed waters. Satellite images taken by a US-based firm have revealed suspected dredging work on Lad Reef, a coral reef controlled by Vietnam in the South China Sea. Lad Reef is about 450 kilometers from Vietnam's southeastern coast. The lighthouse on the coral reef is 42 meters high and operated by a small number of Vietnamese soldiers and workers. Lad Reef is completely submerged at high tide. Recent satellite images show several vessels in a newly dug channel on the coral reef. Analysts told Reuters that such dredging work could be the precursor to more extensive construction on other reefs. And Lad Reef might be used to boost access for supply ships and fishing boats. It could also be used to help defend the nearby Spratly Island, where Vietnam has expanded its airstrip. Vietnam has already fortified several islands in the disputed waters by deploying mobile rocket artillery launchers. Vietnam is one of many nations that claims the South China Sea as part of its territory. China, the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan have also made claims in the region. Vietnam has become China's main rival in the disputed South China Sea. According to Reuters, the mobile rocket launchers installed on several islands controlled by Vietnam are capable of striking China's runway and military installations. Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
Did China find a way to unstealth U.S. fighter jets? Do you see what I see? The structures that you see in this image may have a solid impact on military relations with China. The Center for Strategic and International Studies said satellite images show China may have built a high-frequency radar system on an artificial island located on the Quarteron Reef in the South China Sea Spratly Islands. 2 radar towers were built on the northern side of the 52-acre island, and a group of 65-foot poles was erected on the southern side. It's these tall poles that allow for surface and air traffic detection far beyond the 80 to 200-mile horizon. The radar would even be able to detect stealth aircraft such as the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor, the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter, and the Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit. Last week, John Kerry expressed serious concern regarding HQ-9 surface-to-air missile units spotted on Woody Island. Why do you suppose China's building these high-frequency radar towers? Leave your thoughts in the comments.
U.S. Navy set to challenge China with close island pass. The U.S. Navy has signaled its intention to sail a surface ship close to Chinese artificial islands in the South China Sea to demonstrate Washington doesn't view the reclaimed land as sovereign territory. China claims almost the entirety of the South China Sea as its territory, a contested area extending deep into Southeast Asia. Here, China has been busy constructing artificial islands on submerged reefs and wants to enforce territorial no-go zones around this reclaimed land. Under the UN Law of the Sea Convention, a Navy ship may pass within 12 nautical miles of territory without conducting military operations. This is known as innocent passage. The United States Navy plans to conduct such a move near the Spratly Islands to signal it doesn't recognize China's absolute claim on the area. China's South China Sea claim is also contested by Brunei, Malaysia, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Taiwan, countries whose 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zones overlap with China's claim. The U.S. says it wants to support free passage under international law. U.S. Pacific Fleet Commander Admiral Scott Swift said the U.S. does not recognize any of China's territorial claims.